They texted, "Family meeting tonight. You're not needed." I texted back, "Understood." They needed me pretty badly when the family trust fund they were discussing turned out to be in my name only. Hey Reddit. So my family decided I wasn't important enough to attend their little meeting about Grandpa's trust fund. Sent me a text like I was some hired help they were dismissing for the day. I just replied, "Understood," and went about my business. What they didn't know? That trust fund they were planning to split up? Yeah, it was in my name. Only mine. The meltdown that followed was absolutely beautiful. Let me back up and give you the full picture of this disaster. I'm 29 male, the middle kid in a family of 3. Got an older sister, Victoria, 32 female, and a younger brother, Nathan, 26 male. Our family dynamic has always been messed up, but I didn't really see it clearly until this whole thing went down. Victoria's the golden child. Always has been. She's got this corporate job at some tech company where she does something with marketing that I've never fully understood despite her explaining it roughly 40 times. She lives in this overpriced apartment downtown, drives a car she can barely afford, and posts constantly on social media about her amazing life. Mom and Dad worship the ground she walks on. Nathan's the baby, which means he gets away with everything. Dropped out of college twice, bounced between jobs like a pinball, currently finding himself by living in Mom and Dad's basement rent-free while working part-time at a sporting goods store. He's 26 and has never paid his own phone bill. Mom still does his laundry. Then there's me. I'm the responsible one, the boring one, the one who doesn't need attention or help because I've got my life together. I'm an industrial electrician, work for a manufacturing plant, make decent money, own my house outright, and generally handle my business without drama. But here's the thing about being the responsible middle child. You become invisible. Your accomplishments don't get celebrated because they're expected. Your struggles don't get acknowledged because you don't complain. You're just there, a reliable background character in everyone else's story. My grandfather passed away 8 months ago. He was 79, lived a good life, and went peacefully in his sleep. Grandpa Joe was a self-made guy who built a successful plumbing supply business back in the 60s and 70s, sold it in the 90s for a solid chunk of change, and lived comfortably off the proceeds. The funeral was standard stuff. Family gathered, people cried. We all shared stories about what a great guy he was. I was genuinely sad. Grandpa Joe was one of the few family members who actually saw me as a person, instead of just the middle kid. See, when I was younger, maybe 12 or 13, I started helping Grandpa with projects around his house. Basic stuff at first, changing light fixtures, fixing leaky faucets, replacing outlets. He had arthritis that made detailed work difficult, so I became his hands. Those weekends at his place were the best part of my childhood. He'd teach me how electrical systems worked, how to read blueprints, how to troubleshoot problems methodically. We'd work on projects for hours, then sit on his back porch eating sandwiches and talking about everything from sports to politics to his business philosophy. Most people overcomplicate things, he'd say, wiping mustard off his chin. You find the problem, you fix the problem, you move on. Simple as that. Grandpa Joe paid attention when I told him about getting my electrician's apprenticeship. He asked questions about voltage calculations and circuit theory that showed he was actually listening. When I got my journeyman license, he took me out for a steak dinner. Just him and me, no one else invited. My parents showed up to my licensing ceremony an hour late because Victoria needed help moving furniture in her apartment. They stayed for about 15 minutes, took a photo for Facebook, then left early to pick up Nathan from a friend's house. Grandpa Joe stayed for the whole thing, shook every instructor's hand, and told anyone who'd listen how proud he was. After the funeral, the lawyer mentioned there'd be a reading of the will in a few months once everything was processed. Standard estate stuff. Nobody seemed particularly worried about it. Grandpa wasn't wealthy by modern standards, but he'd left things organized and clear. That was 8 months ago. Fast forward to last Tuesday. I'm at work, halfway through rewiring a production line that's been giving us problems, when my phone buzzes. Text from Victoria in the family group chat. Family meeting tonight at Mom and Dad's. 7 p.m. Important estate matters to discuss. I wipe the grease off my hands and text back, "What's it about? I've got plans." Victoria's response comes fast. "Trust fund discussion. Nathan and I will handle it. You're not needed." Not needed, like I'm some casual acquaintance instead of their brother. I stare at that message for a solid minute. The family group chat goes quiet. Nobody jumps in to say, "No, you should come," or "We need everyone there." Just silence. My plans for the evening consisted of installing a new ceiling fan in my living room and maybe catching up on some show I'd been watching. Nothing that couldn't be rescheduled. But the casual dismissal hit different. I type back one word. Understood. Then I put my phone away and go back to work. The production line needs fixing, and at least here, people appreciate what I do. My coworker Jake notices my mood. Everything good? Family stuff, I say, threading wire through conduit. Apparently, they're having a meeting I'm not important enough to attend. That's rough, man. It is what it is. But it wasn't just rough. It was a pattern that had been building my entire life. When Victoria graduated college, there was a huge party. Catered food, extended family, the works. My parents spent probably $3,000 celebrating her accounting degree and corporate job offer. When I finished my apprenticeship and got my electrician's license, a 4-year commitment that included thousands of hours of practical work and passing one of the hardest licensing exams in the trades, my parents took me to a chain restaurant. Nathan didn't even show up. Victoria sent a text saying congrats with a thumbs up emoji. When Nathan got accepted to community college, the first time before he dropped out, there was a family dinner with extended relatives. When he got accepted the second time, same thing. When he finally dropped out permanently, Mom cried for a week about how the education system had failed her baby. I bought my house at 25 with money I'd saved from working 60-hour weeks. Paid cash for a modest 3-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. My parents visited once, commented that it was small but nice, then left after 20 minutes to help Victoria shop for furniture for her rental apartment. The pattern was clear. Victoria and Nathan got attention, support, and celebration. I got the occasional good job text and expectations that I'd just handle my life without bothering anyone. So getting uninvited from a family meeting? Par for the course. That evening, I installed my ceiling fan, made myself dinner, and didn't think much about whatever meeting was happening across town. If they didn't need me there, I wasn't going to force my presence where it wasn't wanted. Around 8:30 p.m., my phone started blowing up. First call, Victoria. I let it go to voicemail. Second call, Mom. Voicemail again. Third call, Dad. Starting to see a pattern here. Text from Victoria. Call me now. Text from Nathan. Dude, where are you? Text from Mom. Please call us immediately. This is urgent. I'm sitting on my couch admiring my newly installed ceiling fan when the calls start coming in waves. All 3 of them, one after another, like they're taking turns trying to reach me. Finally, I answer Victoria's 5th call. Where have you been? She demands, voice high and stressed. We've been trying to reach you for an hour. Installing a ceiling fan, I say calmly. You said I wasn't needed for the meeting. That was before. We didn't know. You need to get over here right now. What's going on? She doesn't answer directly. Just get here. Now. This is important. You said I wasn't needed. I made other plans. Plans? What plans? You're just sitting at home. Installing a ceiling fan is plans. I'm in the middle of adjusting the blade balance. It's delicate work. I can practically hear her grinding her teeth. This is about Grandpa's estate. There's been a complication. What kind of complication? Just get here. She hangs up. 30 seconds later, Dad calls. Son, we need you to come to the house. There's been a misunderstanding about the estate. What kind of misunderstanding? It's complicated. Better to discuss in person. I'm kind of busy right now. Can this wait until tomorrow? Dad's voice gets tight. No, it really can't. This is time sensitive. The lawyer's still here. The lawyer. That's interesting. I'll see what I can do, I tell him. Might be a while, though. This ceiling fan is tricky. I hang up and go back to my show. Let them sweat a little. 20 minutes later, there's pounding on my front door. I check the camera. It's Nathan, looking panicked. Dude, open up, he shouts. This is serious. I take my time walking to the door. Open it to find Nathan practically vibrating with anxiety. Finally, we need to go to Mom and Dad's right now. Why? Because there's this whole thing with Grandpa's trust fund, and the lawyer says we need you there to sort it out and everyone's freaking out. Victoria said I wasn't needed. Yeah, well, she was wrong. Really wrong. Can we just go? I'm not going anywhere until someone explains what's happening. Nathan runs his hand through his hair. Something he does when he's stressed. I don't fully understand it, okay? Something about the trust being in your name, and there's paperwork, and the lawyer's saying stuff about beneficiaries, and Mom's crying, and Victoria's yelling, and Dad looks like he's going to have a heart attack. The trust being in my name. Interesting. Give me a minute, I say. I need to change my shirt. I take my time. Find a clean shirt, comb my hair, put on decent shoes. Nathan's practically bouncing with impatience in my living room. Can you move any slower? He mutters. Probably, if I tried. The drive to my parents' house is tense. Nathan keeps glancing at me like I'm a bomb that might explode. I just watch the streetlights pass and wonder what exactly I'm walking into. Their house is lit up like Christmas. Cars in the driveway, Mom's SUV, Dad's sedan, Victoria's overpriced import. There's also a fourth car I don't recognize, probably the lawyer's. I park on the street and take my time walking up the driveway. Through the front window, I can see movement, people pacing, animated conversations. Nathan practically runs ahead of me. I follow at my normal pace. The second I walk in, all eyes turn to me. Mom's on the couch looking stressed. Dad's standing by the fireplace with his arms crossed. Victoria's by the window, phone in hand, and there's a woman in a business suit sitting at the dining table with documents spread out. Finally, Victoria says, like I've kept her waiting on purpose. Traffic, I lie, taking in the scene. The woman in the suit stands up and extends her hand. Mr. Patterson, I'm Jennifer Walsh, estate attorney for Joseph Patterson's will. Thank you for coming. I shake her hand. No problem. Though I was told I wasn't needed for this meeting. The lawyer glances at Victoria, who has the decency to look embarrassed. There seems to have been some miscommunication about the estate structure. What kind of miscommunication? Ms. Walsh gestures to the table. Perhaps we should sit down. This is a bit complicated. Everyone moves to the dining room table. I take the seat across from the lawyer, which happens to put me at the head of the table. The symbolism isn't lost on anyone. As you know, Ms. Walsh begins, Joseph Patterson established a trust fund approximately 15 years ago. The trust was funded through the sale of his business assets and various investments made over his lifetime. The current value is approximately $800,000. I keep my face neutral, but inside I'm doing calculations. 800 grand. That's life-changing money, especially split 4 ways among his grandkids. Even split 3 ways, it's substantial. The trust document was very specific about distribution, Ms. Walsh continues. However, there appears to have been some confusion about the beneficiary structure. What kind of confusion? Dad asks, leaning forward. Miss. Walsh pulls out a document and slides it across the table. The trust names one primary beneficiary, with very specific conditions attached. Joseph was quite clear about his intentions, and the legal language is unambiguous. I look at the document. At the top, in formal legal language, I see my full name, Christopher James Patterson. I don't understand, Victoria says, snatching the paper. This says the trust is only in his name. Where are Nathan and I? You're not in it, Ms. Walsh says simply. Joseph established this trust with Christopher as the sole beneficiary. You and Nathan are not mentioned anywhere in the trust document. The room goes dead silent. That can't be right, Mom says, voice shaking. Dad would never cut out 2 of his grandchildren. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake. I drafted this document myself 15 years ago at Joseph's specific instruction. He was very clear that Christopher was to be the sole beneficiary. But why? Nathan asks, looking genuinely hurt. What about me and Victoria? Ms. Walsh pulls out another document. Joseph included a letter of explanation to be read after his death. Would you like me to read it? Nobody speaks, so she takes that as a yes. To my family, she reads. If you're hearing this, I'm gone, and you're probably confused about the trust. Let me be clear about my decision. Christopher is the only grandchild who ever treated me like a person instead of a bank account. He spent time with me because he wanted to, not because he needed something. He learned from me, worked with me, and never once asked for money or favors. Victoria and Nathan are fine people, I'm sure, but they only visited when it was convenient or when they wanted something. Christopher visited because he cared. That kind of character deserves to be rewarded. The trust is his alone, to do with as he sees fit. I trust him to make good decisions. To everyone else, you'll get by just fine without my money. You always have. The silence after that is deafening. Victoria's face is red. This is ridiculous. He can't just cut us out like that. Actually, Ms. Walsh says calmly, he can. It's his money, distributed according to his wishes. The trust is legally sound and has been properly funded and maintained. But $800,000 to just one person? Mom protests. That's not fair to the others. Fair or not, it's legal and binding. Dad looks at me, really looks at me, for maybe the first time in years. Did you know about this? No, I say honestly. First, I'm hearing about it. But you must have suspected something, Victoria insists. You spent all that time with him. He must have said something. He never mentioned money. We just worked on projects and talked. Right, Nathan mutters. You just happened to be the favorite, and now you get everything. I wasn't trying to be the favorite. I was just being his grandson. Ms. Walsh clears her throat. There are some conditions attached to the trust that we need to discuss. Christopher, you're required to meet with me within 30 days to review the full terms and begin the distribution process. The trust is structured to pay out over time, with certain milestones and conditions attached. What kind of conditions? Victoria demands. That's between Christopher and me, as the trustee. The rest of you are not parties to this trust. This is unbelievable, Victoria stands up, pacing. We're supposed to just accept that our brother gets $800,000 and we get nothing? That's exactly what Joseph intended, Ms. Walsh says firmly. And I'll remind everyone that trust documents are confidential. The only reason you're hearing about this at all is because Christopher agreed to this family meeting. Actually, I point out, I was told I wasn't needed. I showed up because Nathan came to my house. Victoria whirls on me. Don't be petty about this. Petty? You excluded me from a meeting about Grandpa's estate because you assumed it didn't concern me. Turns out it's the only thing that does concern me. We thought the trust would be split between all of us, Mom says weakly. That's how these things usually work. Usually, Ms. Walsh agrees. But Joseph was very specific. He wanted Christopher to have the resources to build the life he deserved. And what about the life we deserve? Nathan asks. Perhaps, I say quietly, you should have thought about that when you only visited Grandpa when you needed money for rent, or when you borrowed his truck and returned it with an empty gas tank and a dent you never mentioned. Nathan's face goes red. That was one time. It was 4 times. I know because I'm the one who took it to get fixed and filled the tank. Grandpa never said anything because he didn't want to make you feel bad. Oh, so now you're the saint who did everything right? Victoria snaps. No, I'm the grandson who showed up. There's a difference. The argument continues for another 20 minutes. Victoria insisting the trust should be contested, Mom crying about family unity, Dad trying to mediate while clearly hoping I'll volunteer to share the money, Nathan alternating between sulking and protesting. Through it all, Ms. Walsh sits quietly, occasionally interjecting with legal facts that shut down various conspiracy theories and challenges. Finally, she stands up. I think we're done here. Christopher, please call my office tomorrow to schedule our private meeting. The rest of you should probably discuss this as a family without me present. We'd like to discuss this with our own lawyer, Dad says, to make sure everything's above board. That's your right, Ms. Walsh replies. Though I should warn you that contesting a properly executed trust is expensive and unlikely to succeed. Joseph's mental competency was thoroughly documented. The trust was reviewed by multiple attorneys, and there's no evidence of undue influence. She gathers her documents and heads for the door. I follow her out, partly to be polite and partly to escape the tension. On the front porch, she turns to me. That went about as well as I expected. They're not taking it well. They will eventually, or they won't. Either way, the trust stands. She hands me her business card. Call me tomorrow. We have a lot to discuss about the distribution structure and conditions. Joseph set this up very carefully to make sure the money would actually help you, not just create problems. What kind of conditions? Nothing onerous, but he wanted to make sure you didn't just blow it or get taken advantage of. Call me tomorrow. She leaves, and I'm left standing on the porch, wondering if I should go back inside or just leave. The decision gets made for me when Victoria storms out. This isn't over, she says, jabbing a finger at me. We're going to fight this. That's your choice. You could just do the right thing and split it equally. The right thing? You didn't even want me at the meeting. You sent me a text saying I wasn't needed. Now that you know I'm the beneficiary, suddenly you want me involved? That was a mistake. No, it was you showing your true colors. You assumed I wasn't important enough to include. Now you want me to share money that Grandpa specifically left to me alone. He was our grandfather too. Then maybe you should have acted like it when he was alive. Victoria's face twists. You're really going to be this way? After everything our family's done for you? What exactly has the family done for me? Name one thing. She opens her mouth, then closes it. Opens it again. Nothing comes out. That's what I thought, I say. I'm going home. Tell Mom and Dad I'll talk to them when everyone calms down. I walk to my truck. Victoria doesn't follow. Through the window, I can see the family gathered in the living room, probably discussing how to deal with this situation. How to deal with me. The drive home is quiet. I keep replaying that letter Grandpa wrote. The part about treating him like a person instead of a bank account. I never thought of it that way. I just enjoyed spending time with him. But looking back, I can see what he meant. Victoria would call him every few months, usually when she needed something. Money for car repairs, help with rent, a loan for some investment opportunity that never panned out. She'd visit for an hour, get what she needed, and disappear again. Nathan was even worse. He'd show up unannounced, raid Grandpa's fridge, borrow tools he never returned, ask for gas money, then vanish for months. When Grandpa had his hip surgery 2 years ago, Nathan didn't visit once during recovery. I was the one who drove him to physical therapy appointments, helped him with household tasks he couldn't manage, made sure he had groceries and his medications were organized. Not because I expected anything in return, but because that's what family does. At least that's what I thought family did. Clearly, I was in the minority on that opinion. My phone starts buzzing again as I pull into my driveway. Messages lighting up the family group chat. I don't read them. Just silence the notifications and head inside. The house feels extra quiet after all that chaos. I make myself a sandwich, pour a glass of water, and sit at my kitchen table staring at the business card Ms. Walsh gave me. $800,000. That's enough to change my life. Pay off my house completely, even though I already own it outright. Invest for retirement. Maybe buy a new truck. Take a real vacation instead of just long weekends. But more than the money, what hits me is the validation. Grandpa saw me. He noticed the work I put in, the time I spent, the genuine relationship we had. In a family where I'd always been invisible, he made sure I knew I mattered to him. That night, I sleep better than I have in months. The next morning, I call Ms. Walsh's office and schedule a meeting for that afternoon. Then I head to work, where my boss immediately asks if everything's okay. Family stuff got resolved, I tell him. The thing that had you distracted yesterday? Yeah. Turns out I'm inheriting more money than I expected. His eyebrows go up. That's good news, isn't it? It's complicated news. But yeah, ultimately it's good. Work that day is a welcome distraction. Physical labor, problem solving, the satisfaction of making something work that wasn't working before. By the time my shift ends, I've almost forgotten about the family drama. Almost. The meeting with Ms. Walsh is at 4 p.m. in her downtown office. Professional building, nice waiting room, the kind of place that charges by the hour and knows it. She greets me personally and leads me to a conference room with a view of the city. Spread out on the table are more documents than I've ever seen in one place. Okay, she says, settling into her chair. Let's talk about the structure of this trust and what Joseph wanted for you. For the next 2 hours, she walks me through everything. The trust is set up to pay out in stages. An immediate distribution of $50,000 for any pressing needs or debts. Then monthly payments of $3,000 for 5 years. After that, the remainder gets distributed in a lump sum. Why the structure? I ask. Joseph wanted to make sure you had steady support without the temptation to make impulsive decisions. He'd seen too many people blow inheritances on bad investments or get taken advantage of by family members. Family members like Victoria and Nathan. He didn't say that explicitly, but yes, I believe he was concerned about pressure from relatives. There are other conditions too. The trust pays for additional education or certification if I want it. It covers emergency medical expenses. It provides a death benefit if something happens to me before it's fully distributed. Your grandfather thought this through very carefully, Ms. Walsh says. He wanted this money to genuinely help you build a better life, not just be a temporary windfall. Can I use it to help other people? Like, if I wanted to help someone with medical bills or education? Within reason, yes. The trust gives you discretion on the monthly payments and final distribution. The only restriction is that you can't sign over control to another family member or use it to pay their debts without trustee approval. So I can't just give Victoria and Nathan their share to make peace? Correct. Joseph specifically prohibited that. He wanted you to have security and independence, not to become the family bank. We go through more paperwork. I sign about 40 documents, get copies of everything, and walk out with the understanding that the first $50,000 will be transferred to my account within a week. My phone has been buzzing constantly during the meeting. I check it on the walk to my truck. 17 missed calls. 32 text messages. The family group chat is a disaster. Victoria, we need to talk about this rationally. Nathan, dude, come on, we're family. Mom, please call me. We need to discuss this properly. Dad, your mother is very upset. We should all sit down and work this out. Victoria again. Our lawyer says we have grounds to contest. Nathan, this is such garbage. I can't believe Grandpa did this. I don't respond to any of them. Just drive home, heat up leftovers, and watch a movie. Let them spin their wheels for a while. The calls and messages continue over the next few days. Victoria leaves voicemails about family loyalty and doing the right thing. Nathan sends increasingly desperate texts about how he really needs money right now. Mom tries the guilt angle, talking about how disappointed Grandpa would be if his gift tore the family apart. Dad takes a different approach. He calls from an unknown number, and I answer without thinking. We need to discuss this situation like adults, he says. Okay, discuss. Your mother and I think the fairest solution is for you to divide the trust equally among the three of you. That's what a loving family would do. Did Victoria and Nathan divide their graduation party budgets with me? Did they share their allowances growing up? When you paid for Victoria's apartment deposit, did you offer me an equal amount? That's different. Those were parenting decisions. And this is Grandpa's decision. He was very clear about what he wanted. He was a confused old man. Do not disrespect him like that. He was sharper at 79 than most people are at 40. He knew exactly what he was doing. Then he was being spiteful. No, he was being fair. He gave his money to the person who actually cared about him. Dad's voice gets hard. You're making a mistake. Family is forever. Money isn't. Family is supposed to be forever. But when did you treat me like family? When did Victoria or Nathan? You all made it very clear at that meeting that I wasn't important enough to include until you realized I had something you wanted. That's not fair. Neither is what you're asking me to do. He tries a few more angles, but I shut them all down. Eventually, he gives up and hangs up. A week later, the $50,000 hits my account. I stare at the number on my phone for a solid 5 minutes. It's real. This is actually happening. I don't tell anyone. Just let the money sit there while I figure out what to do with it. Victoria finds out somehow. Probably checked with the lawyer or got her own attorney to dig into the trust structure. She shows up at my house on a Saturday morning, all business suit and determination. We need to talk, she announces when I open the door. I'm kind of busy. This is important. I consider closing the door in her face, but decide that's too petty. You've got 5 minutes. She pushes past me into the living room. The trust pays out in stages, right? Monthly payments for 5 years, then a final distribution? That's correct. So you're getting monthly income on top of your salary. Also correct. I've done the math. You'll be making more per month than Nathan and I combined. That's not right. Take it up with Grandpa. He's dead. We're the ones who have to live with this. So live with it. Victoria's composure cracks. Do you have any idea how hard things are right now? I'm barely making rent. My car payment is insane. I'm drowning in credit card debt. And you're sitting here with this windfall acting like you earned it. I did earn it. By being a decent grandson. That's not how inheritance works. You don't earn family money, you receive it. Tell that to the lawyer who drafted a trust specifically giving it all to me. She switches tactics, voice going soft. We're family. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It meant something to me at that meeting you didn't want me at. It meant something when you only called Grandpa when you needed money. Family means showing up, Victoria. Not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. I was busy. I had a career. So did I. I still made time. This isn't fair. Life's not fair. If it was, I'd have gotten the same attention and support you and Nathan got growing up. But we don't get to choose fair. We get what we get. Victoria stares at me, and for a moment, I think she might actually understand. Then her expression hardens. Fine. Keep your money. But don't expect me to be there when you need help. Don't expect any of us to be. I've never expected that, I say honestly. I've been handling my own life without family help since I was 18. This doesn't change anything except now I'm more comfortable doing it. She leaves without another word. Through the window, I watch her sit in her car for 10 minutes, probably crying or calling someone to complain about how selfish I am. Nathan tries a different approach. He shows up with apologies and a sob story about medical bills and car trouble, and how he's finally getting his life together, but just needs a small loan to make it work. How much? I ask. Maybe 10,000? Just to get caught up. I'll pay you back, I swear. The trust specifically prohibits me from loaning money to family members. But you could use the 50,000 you already got, right? That's not technically the trust anymore. It's still my money. And the answer is no. Come on, man. Brothers help each other out. Do they? When's the last time you helped me with anything? He thinks hard. I helped you move into your house. You showed up 3 hours late, carried 2 boxes, then left to meet your friends. That's not help. This is such garbage. You're really going to let me struggle when you're sitting on all that money? You're 26. It's time to figure your own life out. Easy for you to say when you got everything handed to you. I worked for 4 years as an apprentice making barely above minimum wage. I saved every penny. I studied for certifications on my own time. Nothing was handed to me. But now you've got this trust. Because I was the only one who treated Grandpa like family. You want money? Go earn it. Nathan leaves angry. Later that night, he posts something on social media about family betrayal and how money changes people. I don't respond. Just block him and move on. Mom tries one last time. She calls on a Sunday afternoon, voice thick with emotion. I don't understand why you're doing this, she says. Why you're hurting the family like this. I'm not doing anything. I'm just keeping what's mine. But it's tearing us apart. No, your reaction to it is tearing us apart. I didn't choose for Grandpa to leave everything to me, but I'm not apologizing for it either. He was punishing Victoria and Nathan because they were too busy with their lives. That's not their fault. They weren't too busy. They just had different priorities. Grandpa understood that, and he responded accordingly. What about what I want? What your father wants? When have you ever asked what I wanted? When I wanted to go to trade school instead of college, you told me I was wasting my potential. When I bought my house, you said it was too small and in the wrong neighborhood. When I told you about my promotion, you changed the subject to talk about Victoria's new job. So forgive me if your opinion on my inheritance doesn't carry much weight. Silence on the line. Then quietly, that's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. So what now? We just stopped being a family? We stopped being a family somewhere along the way. I just finally noticed. I hang up before she can respond. The next few months are surprisingly peaceful. The monthly payments from the trust come like clockwork. I invest most of it, use some to upgrade things around my house, and generally enjoy not having to stress about money. My relationship with Victoria, Nathan, and my parents is essentially dead. We exchange minimal texts on birthdays and holidays, but that's it. No calls, no visits, no attempts at reconciliation. Some people might find that sad. I find it liberating. At work, things are going great. My boss offers me a lead position with a significant raise. I take it. The extra money plus the trust payments mean I'm more financially secure than I've ever been. I start dating someone I met at a friend's barbecue. Her name's Kate. She's a dental hygienist, and she doesn't come from money or care about mine. We just enjoy each other's company. It's refreshing. About 6 months after the trust drama, I get a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answer. Christopher, this is Jennifer Walsh. Ms. Walsh, how can I help you? I wanted to give you a heads up. Victoria filed a formal contest of the trust. It was dismissed by the court this morning. The judge ruled the trust was properly executed, and Joseph's intentions were clear. How much did that cost her? Legal fees for something like this? Probably $15,000 to $20,000. I almost feel bad. Almost. Thanks for letting me know. There's something else. The judge ordered her to pay the trust's legal fees for defending against a frivolous challenge. That's another $8,000. Wow. Yeah, she's going to get a bill soon. Thought you'd want to know in case she reaches out. Sure enough, 3 days later, Victoria calls. I don't answer, but she leaves a voicemail. The desperation in her voice is almost sad. I know we haven't talked. I know you're mad, but I'm in real trouble now. The legal fees from the trust challenge are killing me. I might lose my apartment. I wouldn't ask if I had any other choice. Please, I need help. I delete the message without responding. That might sound cold, but here's the thing. Victoria made her choice when she decided to fight for money that was never hers. She spent thousands of dollars trying to take from me instead of accepting reality and moving on with her life. She gambled and lost. Those are consequences. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.